Hello, welcome to the first podcast of Arts and Conversations with Jeff and Leslie Fischer. Thank you for letting me in your home, though I'm here all the time anyway, aren't I?
Yes, thanks
Not
for
often
being
enough.
here with us, but not enough is what's true.
They are family to me, and they also have probably one of the most beautiful collections I've ever seen. They're also incredibly active in film, wine collecting, everything, and all around terrific human beings. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions about your collection. How has collecting art changed your life?
Well, it certainly made it more fun and interesting and colorful, and something we really enjoy doing together.
Yeah, and it's, to a large extent, it's certainly not the only vacations we take, but we used to go to Art Freeze in Miami and got a little bit tired of it and decided that we would go to an art fair somewhere else in the world every year. And, you know, it's kind of taken us all over the globe. So being able to see new cities and see new art at the same time has been great.
And along with that, just traveling around in this art community, we've really made some nice friends, and we see them in all these incredible places.
So it's really enriched your life,
Absolutely.
100%.
and your families are also embracing it, the kids?
The kids are very much in it. Our daughter is in the art world. She works for a foundation that does social action through all kinds of art engagement. We're so proud of her. And now everyone's starting to hang beautiful art in their apartments and just really enjoy living with their things,
Which is
was the
wonderful.
goal for us too.
And we can plug Carly.
Yes.
Carly Fischer, we give her a plug.
Carly Fischer.
Yes, in the
Four
art world.
Freedoms. Go girl. Yes.
All right, when did you start collecting? And why?
So, in a certain sense, it was almost by accident. I mean, we always, you know.
We thought we were collecting art because we would go on other types of vacations and purchase art. And anyone who's really in the art world understands that it doesn't matter if you spend a little or a lot, that doesn't necessarily make it collection art.
So,
So
have
we didn't understand that at first.
so one of our snobby friends from the art world refers to it as vacation art.
Okay.
But the first time we went to Art Freeze, it was probably like 2005 or 2006.
Basel, Art Basel,
Art, what did I say?
pre.
Oh, Art Basel,
Yeah.
Miami, yeah. And we bought 2 paintings there, and
We were bitten by the bug. It was, we
What
just,
were the first pieces that you bought?
actually that one in the front hall
Yeah,
is
so
maybe the first piece
it
we
was
ever
the very
bought.
first one. From,
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna see
and,
that collection in a little bit.
And then the second piece that we bought was a Caterina Grossa abstract painting on on paper. And, yeah, but at that same art fair, we saw a lot of other things. We saw Kahindi Wiley that was the only one that was there, and it was already sold. You know, so it sort of gave us a very quick education as to how art fairs work, and you know, if you see something you like and you can't buy it, that there are other opportunities and research that's involved in you know, what other things are out there and whether they are worth collecting.
Yeah, I think it took us a while to sort of develop a point of view, what we were thinking about, and but we try never to let the fact that this is something that's fun to do together and really interesting. You learn things by looking at art. We just always want it to be something we do together.
By the way, I love that about the two of you, and
Yeah.
I've done art fairs with you, Leslie, and not with you, Jeff. But when she sees something that she loves, you're the first phone call. Like, please fall in love with it. And I'm gonna jump to
Yeah.
a later question, but I'm gonna take it now. So if you both are not on board, and one of you is more on board on a piece, who gets the final say, and what's the tipping point?
Good question. So there's not really a final say. So our rule is, first of all, we never buy anything that we don't love. And Regan, I know you've heard me say this before. I don't want to live with anything that I don't feel comfortable drinking my coffee with in the morning.
Right.
Because that's what it is. I mean, these things are alive. We're just stewarding them. And we have to be able to be really comfortable with them when we hang them in our home. But if Jeff really loves something, and I'm not, so I don't have to have it, but I feel like I can live with it, I don't want to tell him, no, you can't have something you love with and you want to drink your coffee with. But if I really hate something, or he really hates something and just doesn't see it, then it's dropped. We just don't do it. We don't go forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a specific price point, but price does come in, and also scale comes into play. So, you know, if it's something that can only hang on a very sort of public wall, then it's more likely that we're gonna be in 100% agreement.
Yeah.
If it's something that I can put in my office, because it's a little bit smaller,
Yeah.
then Leslie doesn't mind that it's not necessarily.
I don't have to look at that.
The famous office scene, yes.
But also, there's been times, you know, where one of us has seen something and the other didn't necessarily like that one, but it doesn't, we may drop the subject on that particular object, but, you know, we'll look for something that both of us can live with. So Carol Walker was a good example.
A good example, because her work is difficult.
It is,
Yes.
but I happen to love the one you have.
Yeah, and I love it too. I just wasn't sure I wanted to eat dinner with it. So
She's in the basement.
she's in the basement. She's in the,
Lower
she's
level.
LL.
Okay,
But
Carol,
we
She's
you're
also-
in really
listening.
good company. She's in super
Yeah,
company.
she's incredible company, yeah, that is
But
not
we
a
also
diss.
have a watercolor
Yes.
that's not so difficult.
And we have a
The
maquette.
maquette of
that we
the
love.
steam.
The one down here
Steve
is
Morgan.
just a little more difficult.
It's quite stunning though.
Yes.
All right, you now, I think you both have very discerning eyes. I happen to just
Thank
love
you.
Thank you.
your collection. I mean, there's not anything
So do
I
you, though.
don't
Takes one
love.
to know one.
Thank you. But you now use art advisors. And did you start using art advisors? And I don't think you did, but when you started, how did that change your collecting style?
In the beginning, we didn't use a quote-unquote advisor, but we were friendly with somebody from a gallery, and actually, he was, before he owned the gallery, he was hired by Art Basel, actually by UBS, to act as a guide during Art Basel Miami. So even before we bought the two paintings, we asked his opinion.
And he really was fun and exciting to go around the fairs with, and really got us excited, and like, didn't make it so serious. Said, yeah, this is supposed to be fun. Go enjoy it. So yeah, we did, but it was sort of loose. We've never purchased anything that we didn't love on our own, or one of us loved and the other one agreed at least to like. And, you know, our collection grew to a point, I'm sorry, did I interrupt
No,
you?
not at all.
It's nothing out of the ordinary. Our collection grew to a point where we could not manage it properly.
His gallery business grew.
His did, but that's why we evolved in our advisory team, because we just really couldn't, it grew to be something bigger than what we ever expected it to be. And we always believe in lending. We always believe in seeing new opportunities, young artists that we may not hear about, which are brought to our attention because we are involved with this wonderful advisement that we have.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's almost three parts to the advisors that we use. So one is you know, they will definitely bring things to us that they think that, based on our collection, fit in with our collection. especially if it's in cities that we're not getting to regularly,
Especially now with COVID, which
especially now with
we've
COVID.
done more of looking at things that we haven't seen because we haven't been going places. So JPEGs rule the day, unfortunately.
That was one of my questions about change of style of collecting with
Yeah.
COVID.
Hopefully not forever, but yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, but then also, you know, having done business with so many galleries worldwide, we'll get press releases or whatever, and then we'll ask our advisors to get us previews of the,
It gives us more access. It doesn't, to things that we maybe wouldn't be able to quickly enough. So they help us in that way really a lot. We trust them. We consider them dear friends now. Like they're part of our living, growing thing that we're doing here, and our kids are in conversation with them. It's pretty exciting.
there's actually two other parts. I said three, but there's really four. So the third is sort of the business side of it, that they'll make sure that our insurance is adequate for the value as it is today, as opposed to when we bought it.
Especially if it's moving to a location to be shown somewhere else. If an artist is having an exhibition and they ask us for a piece, we always agree to lend, because we believe that art is for everyone.
And then the final piece really is the advocacy. There's, you know, if there's a gallery that we never have done business before, they don't know us from Adam, and there's something that we want to purchase, they will explain to the gallery why us as opposed to somebody else.
Right.
Right, and that leads me to another question, because that is part of the art world most people don't know about.
Yeah.
You know, why did they bring 17 pieces and they're already pre-sold by the time you see them?
Right.
And it's in how important it is for the artist, the gallerist, etc., to place these works in the right setting for various reasons. And that leads me to the next question. How do you feel about preservation and then legacy?
Yeah. Preservation is utmost. You have to make sure you, 'cause I know I keep saying this word, but we're just stewarding this stuff. It's something that I always felt almost like envious of, that an artist is able to actually express what's happening in the world visually in a way that I wish I had the words to explain what I was feeling about things. And you look at this, you can't, for us, it's visceral. I'm very emotional. I get emotionally attached immediately or not.
Excuse me, but it's not only visceral for you, because like one of Leslie's famous sayings when we go to an art fair is, you know, what was the artist thinking at the time
Yeah.
that they made this? What's the story?
And there always is, you know, an art fair today looks different than an art fair looked 4 years ago because of what's happening in the world. So it's really important that we keep our stuff so that the next generation or 10 generations from now, they know what was happening and what we were thinking about. It's sort of part of our identity, what we collect
Yeah, and I think that
as people.
to segue from that and go backwards a little about the advisors, when the very, very beginning, when we started working with these advisors, they kind of asked us what our goal was. Like, did we want to, you know, have the preeminent collection in the world of works on paper? And we said, no, you know, we don't want to limit ourselves. You know, we see a sculpture we like or a photograph we like, let alone you know, one style of painting. You know, we just want to live with beautiful things.
Yeah, we do tend to really like portraiture a lot. We're drawn to people. Just turned out that way. A lot of it grew that way, and I know I say this all the time, Jeff, you agree, we feel like they're our friends in a way, that we live with them, and
I quote you all the time, by the way. And I think there's something very, very true about that. When you walk into someone's home that has art that they've invested in some way, it's a different sensation. And it does say something about the people within the home.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's ours. We don't do it. We never collect anything. It's another part of having advisement. We never buy anything to make money from it. we have sold a very few things in 15 years that we've collected, but that is one of the things that they do afford us. We don't want it, this has now become our children's legacy in a way. So we don't want to buy something and then not be able to at least sell it back at some point for what we paid for it, because, you know, we may or may not know. We try to do our due diligence, but they really have insider information.
And are galleries still doing that? That used to be the case, that they would guarantee a certain minus 10%.
You know, I don't know that we've ever had that conversation. The one thing that I will say, apropos to what Leslie's already said, is that, you know, we will always give the gallery kind of the first shot. If we're gonna sell something, you know, think it's the right way to do business. And it's one of the reasons that, you know, things are offered to us as opposed to other people.
We try really not to go to auction with our own things, and also to buy things from auction, because the goal is to support the artist, and I don't think people really understand that auction does not support the artist, and it doesn't really support their legacy.
And especially if they're a young artist, actually it can do the opposite.
It can take
If
them
they don't
down.
do well
Right.
at auction, all of a
Right.
sudden you go on mutualart.com and they're a bust when in essence their career is just starting.
Or too much, and they can't ever keep up with that, and it's considered a fluke, and it's just not good. It's not as good for their careers.
So, do you mind if we walk around and see? We are now taking a tour of the Fischer Collection, and I love this piece. Who is it?
So, this artist's name is Luis Isper. He's a Cuban-American from Florida, and this particular piece is, you know, when he would...
Jeff, you saw this without me.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay. It's actually one thing that's a little bit unusual in our collection, that, you know, usually we're very cognizant of you know, or most representative of the artist's practice. Iconic is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
He's actually known a little bit more for photography, where he has like decorated the inside of cockpits with,
Yeah. I
you know,
don't
like
remember.
Fendi and,
You loved him.
But this is from riding the bus in Miami all the time and seeing some of the older Cuban men sitting on the bus with their hands folded with a ring on every finger.
So, and this is how his father's hands, in his memory, looked to him. So this was his rendition of that.
Stunning. Are you gonna take us now inside the house?
Come on.
I'm gonna
Please.
go.
Come
Oh,
on
thank
in.
you. I get to come in again. Oh my gosh. Isn't this amazing? It's so powerful. And it's so powerful when you walk into your house. I mean, you're both so welcoming anyway, but nothing like hands, like welcoming you.
Come in.
All right, this is the first piece.
This is the very first piece we ever purchased.
So, this artist, he's a Chinese artist who was working in Germany at the time. I don't remember his full name, but we just refer to as Yang. And it's a little bit mixed media. There's pencil, there's pen, there's paint, there's...
It's also, it's a fictitious city. It's how he sees it. It's how he sees the light coming through in a cityscape. And I think even though he's Chinese, he was trying to paint in the European fashion.
All right. What's next?
Okay, these are, well, in a way, newer, younger artists, but not necessarily.
All right, where are we? Okay, this is one of my faves, I have to say.
This is newer to our collection.
This is...
Ficre Gubaris. Regan, you have one? You
I
know?
do, I have two actually, and I don't know how to pronounce, I'm afraid, his last name.
Yes,
Love his story.
yeah.
Do you want to tell the story?
So one of the things I just want to mention also is many years ago, Jeff and I went to a very, very important collector's home in Miami, and we saw them just living with their art. Their kids running around, and it was all around in every room, and they just had their feet up, same as we do in our home, and that's something we tried to create here. So,
All right, where are you taking us next?
take us.
All right, I'm gonna get a little closer on this. He's so amazing. And he was a chef, and he
He
never
was a
had
chef.
He
representation.
never had representation.
He
He-
lived near Yale.
He lived near Yale. He was offered many times, but it's actually quite a sad story. He told his wife way back when, you'll know when the time is right, the time is not right now. And he passed very young. He left her all of his artwork, and she found him representation, and now
Yeah, he's with Lalong now, right?
Long, yep.
Yeah,
And he's,
she's a poet.
she's a poet, she wrote a beautiful book, and people are appreciating him.
So
Yeah.
these are two young artists. This is Brian Kokosa. And we also have a watercolor as well as his work on canvas. And then this sculpture is Jesse Wine, who is, he's not even 30 years old yet. He's a British artist and had an amazing show at the Sculpture Center that
But-
this was in.
These are examples of young artists that we never would have probably had access to, that our advisors brought to us, and that we never saw, and we bought from pictures, so.
Well done. All right, the salon wall.
Let's take you into our bathroom.
Okay, okay. I always said the best art's in the bathroom.
So we have two Mapplethorpe paintings, photographs rather, in here. One, the first one you see is Lisa Lowe, who's a bodybuilder, and
I
that
think she
Mapplethorpe
was a
photograph.
frequent model of his. And the one that Regan's showing now is the
Alice
Queen, Alice Neal.
The queen.
The Queen, who, she's my favorite artist, and we worship her and how she captured her people.
Agreed. Ooh, who do we have here?
This is Jordan
Jordan
Castillo.
Castillo, this is from her Subway series. And she was actually, when we looked at her first, she was another young artist. Now, everyone caught on.
Well, didn't she have the big exhibit at the new?
She did. She had a huge exhibit at the new museum, and she is with, I'm not having him write down.
I know, but I can't remember his name.
But see, that's
Casey.
Casey
another-
Kaplan.
Oh, another, see, these are your eyes. You find these artists. And now they're having moments, which is awesome. All right, tell us about the salon wall.
So,
Where are we gonna start first?
well, we can talk about individual pieces, but there's also, it's something that we constantly add to, and we don't necessarily, this is not all that it'll ever be. We kind of hope that at one point every inch of the wall will be filled up, and.
The lights will come down, because that's what we do. We collect and we take things away. But it's a lot of our ladies, and it's things that we just love, but there's not one little wall to hang it, so they go everywhere.
And it's, actually, we had bought this is a very early Picasso drawing. And then we have William Kentridge, and we have George Condos. And Celia Paul, Henry Taylor, and there's actually two Chantal Jaffe.
And Nicole Eisenman,
And
Picabia, so, and it's mixed with, we bought this one like at a
In
street
Mexico
fair in Mexico City. It's just things that we love and see and feel
and
like.
then this is Tunji Adunye Jones, who's also British, and he's, really caught on fire.
He's having a
since we-
moment too. So,
You're always having moments, that's why. All right,
Well-
are we gonna go upstairs?
We can go upstairs, downstairs, whichever you prefer.
All right, who do we have here?
So this is Lynette Yadam Boakye, and This is actually one thing that we did buy at auction because
We absolutely couldn't get her.
we were looking for years to
Yeah,
acquire something, and we finally found this, but
yeah.
she's an incredible.
She's an incredible talent. We've been smitten with the coloration of the skin that she is able to create. And we just really felt like we had to have it. So auction it was.
Stunning. And who do we have next to?
And this is actually an Andy Warhol drawing, and several art collectors will know that he was in advertising. He was really an illustrator to start his career, and
So it's a self-portrait of him?
no, it's not.
Oh,
It's
no?
one of his.
You could check that out then.
It's one of his mates.
Oh, one of his mates.
So, this is actually a photograph. It's Francesca Woodman. It's a self-portrait. It's called caryatid, which refers back to Roman architecture, where pillars became figurative on top. And this is printed on essentially architect paper, so thus the blue color. And
Archival paper? Is that what you're?
I-
It's archival paper,
okay.
yeah.
So this painting is by Uta Kurda, and it came from a show that she did where she only did sort of famous women, and this is her homage to Francesca Woodman, and so essentially it's the same.
It's the same
It's a
form.
painting of the photograph that we
Of
showed
the
upstairs.
caryatid, of the woman, you look at it, this is sort of her signature, these round circles.
So is that how you choose to place your art, if they're in conversation?
Sometimes.
A lot of times.
But this is a Malate who is definitely not known as a
Always known as a
painter.
sculptor.
He did very, very
Does those very
thin,
fine gold sculptures.
almost like Mobiles. And then
This is
a
new.
Kay Hoffman.
Kay Hoffman, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Strong woman coming out of that rock. This is the Matt Saunders. This is another artist that our advisors turned us on to. This was way pre-COVID, and we fell in love with this work. This is a very sheer fabric that it's painted on. She just captures sort of the mood, and he captures.
What do we wake up to?
So this is a Cecily Brown who we both love, and she's really known more for abstract painting, but if you're familiar at all with her practice, there's always a tremendous amount of figuration underneath all of the abstraction. And-
She does, actually, she puts, when she makes a piece, it's about what's happening in the world. It usually has to do with the people, and then she abstracts over it. So this piece on paper, which we met her, she says she draws, paints, and colors every day of her life. There's always people underneath, because that's the under of everything.
So, this is a Wengechi Mutu, it's collage. It's, we actually have a fair amount of collage in our collection, but
We love
she's
collage.
really just an absolutely incredible artist. She just had the 4 statues standing outside the Met.
Yeah, lately she's been known more for her sculpture. Her practice is changing, but this is a piece that she was sort of iconic for this time and show period of hers.
All right, and we're gonna go down, down, down. Boy, she is stunning.
Oh, isn't
And
she?
you know the placement of your art. It's so key to, it just unfolds.
I think that is
Fern Gross.
Vern Dawson, yeah.
So this is a Vern Dawson painting.
Vern's been around a long time. We love him. This was one of those paintings that we just saw years and years ago and loved and wanted to have.
And who's over here?
So this is a Kerry James Marshall, and in a certain sense, it's collage. It's paperback book
Book
covers.
covers.
So in some cases, you can see the paperback cover showing through. In most cases, it's just painted over, and with the very black skin.
Which he's known for, using very black, but, so it's different in that it's lots of figures and it's collage, but it's very Kerry James because there's figures and figures on the book covers.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Kerry James. He also happens to be a wonderful human being. On top of
Okay.
it, tell me who this is. This
So-
delicate flower here.
So this is Kara Walker, who again is just an incredible, amazing artist.
But not easy to live with.
Not easy to live with, and this is probably, not this painting, but this style is what she's most well known for. What she does a lot of the silhouette, which you would see in antebellum
Southern
South
homes.
during the time of slaves.
So what she really did was to portray how not nice and how not gracious slave life was. This man was probably the slave owner. And she shows how the same medium can be kind of sinister.
I'm gonna try to grab this. We have a little glare, and you had said she's so fragile.
This piece is very fragile and it's in a very public space, so it's probably not showing to its best, but preservation is important, which is why we chose to put it under glass.
Yeah, one of her cutouts.
Yep.
Stunning. Okay, and who do we have over
This
here?
is another Matt Saunders. We just really are taken with his work.
Okay.
So this is actually, this is a Jack Whitten. Jack is not especially known for this exact type of painting, but this was one of those things that I fell in love with. This painting is from the 16s. It's called MLK's Garden. And if you look, you can see MLK is in here. Jack is a black artist. He recently sadly passed. He was a friend.
He grew up in Alabama.
He grew up in Alabama, and he was there, he marched, and he actually, when we hung this painting, he was with us in our home, and it was the first time he had ever seen it since he painted it.
Oh.
It was pretty incredible, and he told us a lot of stories about, you know, the civil rights movements and how he felt it was his responsibility as an artist to portray it. The blood, the fire, the people.
So,
Cornelia
this is
Parker.
Cornelia Parker. This actually was Leslie's dad's favorite piece that we owned anywhere. It's called 30 Pieces of Silver with a biblical reference. And Cornelia Parker literally would lay the stuff down on the road and drive a steamroller over it.
And she's a little lady.
But,
Stunning.
yeah.
Yeah. And sadly, Matthew also, he was one of those little bright lights, 30 under 30, amazing artists who, he's not with us any longer, but his art is beautiful.
So we move art around.
We move
a
our
lot.
art around, nothing,
We find that
nothing lives where it is permanently.
because it can be in conversation with something completely different.
Yeah, and then it changes how you look at it.
I'm gonna try to get a good shot of
It's hard.
this
is
Hockney, but
Yeah, this is getting all the way, and this kind of right here is a lot more of the abstract things that we love and have decided makes sense, sort of speaking to each other. Our conclusion is more at the beginning of what people think of as modern and contemporary. Helen Frankenthaler, a Michael Goldberg
And
and Hans Hoffman, all works on paper. And if you turn around behind you, a personal friend and real favorite of really a lot of women artists.
Aren't you ahead of your time?
So this is Joan Semmel.
Joan Semmel.
And,
Joan's also a personal friend, almost a grandmotherly figure to our daughter, the original women's rights liberation woman.
so she's like sort of the originator of the selfie. She does a lot of self-portraits, and she does it exactly, she does not,
She paints photos of women through women's eyes, not sexualized women. She wants women, she shows her body how it actually looks, not how she wants a man to look at it.
I love that.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
this is Deb Cass, and
Also a feminist artist.
so this is, we actually had seen a different piece at somebody's home in Miami, and just sort of fell in love with her work and the concept. So, so this was from a series, I guess homage to Warhol.
Most
But
people are familiar with his Jackie O piece.
So rather than having Jackie O in it, she found a Jewish woman like Deb herself.
Iconic Jewish feminist woman, Barbara.
I love it. And Deb Cass is going to be one of our first speakers and artists represented in Arts and Conversation. So that's
Great. It's another small
Vern Dawson.
Vern Dawson, and this is kind of on art.
wait, hold on. Knocking over furniture, wait.
Where, again, wish we had a bigger space, but our son actually loves this piece in his room, and we have been fans of hers, and we're so excited.
And say who she is.
This was
Allie Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, I
who-
just
now it's
acquired her
just
as well.
Allison
She's
Taylor.
now Allison Taylor.
So-
She's a lovely person, and we've been smitten with her from very early on.
So this is actually another example where we saw something at an art fair that was no longer for sale, and then just continued to follow her career until we found this piece. And so it's sort of not ancient, but a very old art form called marquetry. So 100% every single thing that's on here is a different piece of wood that's cut out and then jigsawed together.
It's not painted, but
Jeff, I'm gonna get closer. And I
please
just
come
did a
in and look at
studio
it. It's
visit with her.
She's incredible.
She is
Her practice
incredible.
is growing, and I think, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Regan, you know her more personally, we've met her, but I think you really know her better. She did not study this art form.
That's
She is
correct.
self-taught.
Well, she actually, in the very beginning, she didn't even know there was such a thing as marquetry, and she would cut out pieces of contact paper, but the wood grain contact paper that your grandmother would line shelves with, and I guess somebody subsequently told her about this idea of marquetry. But
But we
the
love her.
incredible detail, the driver, you can see in the side view mirror, the
Fence.
the decal on the back of the window of the truck.
Yeah, she's an incredibly talented, lovely
And she
person.
uses I agree wholeheartedly on that, and she uses the sawdust now. When she's creating these, she's also using every material, she's recycling everything and putting it into her pieces. So there's literally no waste in her studio.
Yeah.
And she sources wood from all over the world. I don't know the tree varieties, but there's stuff from South America. There's just things from wood from all over the world.
This is another example of collage, though. It's something that it's like we said, we don't collect because something is the artist. We just love this piece. This was actually one of the very first pieces we ever bought, and we still love it, and it's still hanging.
Beautiful.
Hannah Van Bart.
Oh, really? Stunning.
You just want to be friends with them, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. Just my little corner where, after looking at all these wonderful artists, I thought maybe I should try it, see how
you for being the first guest on Arts Encounters.
Thank you
for
for
wanting
inviting
us
us.
to be the
Oh
first
my
guest.
God, my pleasure.
And for being here, because this is a very common view of what we.
Okay, the view.
No,
like,
I don't mean that, this
Oh.
and this.
Jeff, you collect wine, this is part of it, this is a wonderful way to end. Will you explain these two bottles? I'm gonna have you hold them.
So this is, it's sort of just a way to combine the two passions, because Mouton Rothschild from 1945 or 48, I forget, I think it's 48, has invited an artist to design a label every year. So this is just two, so I've been trying over the years to collect every year, and therefore every artist. So these are just two that we happen to pick out. So this is Marc Chagall on this one, and then this one is Lucien Freud. But there's Kandinsky and I think Warhol, Miro.
This is really Jeff's baby, not mine.
Yeah, but actually Leslie and I talk a lot about the similarities of collecting wine and collecting art, because, and a lot, not just the idea of collecting, but that, Leslie actually made the point years ago that when she's ever gone to wine tastings with me and my friends, that nobody ever brings out a bottle and says, look how great I am.
Expensive this is, or
It's just
the
that I
mark of
have
a
a-
true collector
Yeah, go ahead.
is a person that really wants to share. Like, taste this. What do you taste? They want to hear what you think. And that's art. That's music. That's wine. It's not the best because it's the most expensive or the most sought after. It's the best because you love
It's what we
it.
think is the best.
Yeah.
And it brings you joy.
And it brings you joy.
And you two bring me great joy, so
And
thank
the
you.
feeling is mutual.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning
having
in.
us.